Christopher, I know this is a delicate question, but what does the Bible say about intimate oral affections between a husband and a wife? First of all, I'm grateful for the person who submitted this question, just that you acknowledge it's a delicate question. And I'm grateful that you expressed it this way, because we could even ask the question in a way that kind of immediately buys into the language of a pornographic culture. I think intimate oral affections is a delicate way to put it. And before I say anything, let's just also acknowledge that it's difficult to talk about this in a public setting. You know, our pornographic culture is just ready and willing to talk about anything and put it all out there. I sense in my own heart as I go to talk about it, just a need for reverence and delicacy. At the same time, you know, if someone would say, well, you shouldn't talk about that at all, well, people have real questions. I mean, I've been at this work for 30 years, since the early 1990s, and I know, doing this work, pastorally speaking, this is a pressing question of a lot of people. In fact, I know, when I wrote my book, Good News About Sex and Marriage, I said, in answer to this question, I wrote in my book, this is such a pressing question on the hearts of so many people that I bet when you picked up this book, you probably looked up this question first. And I have had over the years, many people come up to me and say, Christopher, you got me. That's what I did. I picked up that book and that's what I looked up first. So yeah, lots of people have this question. And if we can't get the question answered in a healthy, holy way from Catholic theology, where can we go? So, what does the Bible say? Well, the only thing I can think of in the scripture that takes us close to this question, actually two things. Let's just go back to the book of Genesis. God looked at everything he made, everything, and said, behold, it is very good. Just sit with that. Just sit with that. The enemy loves to get his hands on the goodness of creation. And there's nothing better in creation. There's nothing more beautiful in creation than our creation as male and female. There's nothing more sacred in the created order than the love of man and woman and the call of the two to become one flesh. The intimacies of husband and wife are, in God's plan, sacred, holy, beautiful. We live in a world where all of that has been horribly twisted up, horribly distorted, horribly perverted, right? And I keep doing this just to give you a visual, like, it's gotten all twisted up. Good news of the gospel is that Christ comes into the world to untwist what sin has twisted, right? To restore creation to the purity of its origins. This is the good news of redemption, and it proclaims redemption of the body, not redemption from the body. So the basic biblical principle here in a conversation about intimate oral affections between a husband and a wife is the goodness of our bodies, the goodness of creation, the goodness in God's plan of the affection of a husband and wife for each other. And so we can say there is nothing unkissable about any part of the human body. There's nothing unkissable. A husband and a wife who understand the goodness of each other's bodies and rejoice freely in the goodness of each other's bodies, there's no part of the body that is unkissable. That's one principle. We'll start there. Another principle, utterly important. And we have to put this delicately. I'm thinking of a scripture passage where a husband named Onan spills his seed on the ground and God is very displeased. That would be the biblical reference. And the biblical principle is this: a husband's seed belongs one place. A husband's seed belongs one place, only in the garden. I hope that is helpful, delicate enough, but specific enough. The seed belongs in the womb. The seed belongs in the garden. and nowhere else. This should be our desire. This should be our intent. If that is not our desire and intent, if we are intentionally expelling our seed elsewhere, this is contraceptive behavior. It's the sin of onanism, to put a biblical expression to it. So there's another biblical reference. But what I had been thinking of initially before I went to Genesis and then the Onan passage was the Song of Songs. The Song of Songs is, yes, it's an allegory of Christ's love for the church, of God's love for each of us, of that relationship of heaven and earth, the bridegroom and the bride. It's all of that. But first and foremost, it's the love poetry of a husband and a wife. And John Paul II, in his reflection, in his Theology of the Body on the Song of Songs, warns against allegorism, which would leap right away to the spiritual interpretation without paying attention to the fact that this is, first of all, love poetry between a husband and a wife. And something I love about the Song of Songs, I love so many things about the Song of Songs. One thing I love is the veil that the language of the Song of Songs provides us. It allows us to talk about very intimate matters in a holy, sacred way with a veil that doesn't spoil the mystery, right? When we just casually or abruptly remove the veil, well, that's what pornography does, right? With honor and respect for the beauty and dignity of the human body and the sacredness and privacy and beauty and reverence that marital relations deserve, with a veil, the Song of Songs talks about the lovers, the husband and the wife, rejoicing in each other's fruits, eating each other's fruits. The bride says, I long to sit in the shadow of the apple tree and delight in the fruits of the apple tree. There's a biblical reference to a spousal intimacy that can be beautiful, sacred, holy. All things that we've talked about in their proper place. That said, we all know in a pornographic culture, the attack happens right here. The sacred gets twisted up and terribly distorted. And oftentimes, we can almost say always, spouses come into marriage with a pornographic frame of reference. And if we were to bring that pornographic frame of reference into the marriage bed and say, well, technically, this isn't immoral, what's your problem? And oh my gosh, I mean, the very thought of compelling a spouse into something that is undesired or might be difficult because of painful memories or a pornographic frame of reference. If anyone is just taking this legalistically and saying, you should do this because there's nothing inherently wrong with it, and if you, something's off in the heart. Something's off in the heart. We must be very tender with each other, very respectful of each other's hurts and wounds. We should also be on an honest and sincere journey to heal from those wounds, and we should hope to become more and more free in our expressions of marital affection. For example, if somebody thought, well, kissing my spouse's genitals is just disgusting. Whoa, 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 whoa. There's some healing needed here. Who told you those parts of the body are disgusting? There's nothing disgusting about a man's body or a woman's body. Nothing. There's an enemy that gets in the mix to pervert and distort, to cause damage in our lives in one of two ways. Either to lead us right into those distortions so we participate in those distortions and our own hearts get corrupt, or we think the devil just has his own clay here and it's all disgusting, it's all gross, and then we're kept from entering into certain levels of marital tenderness and intimacy that can be beautifully affirming and holy. Either way, the enemy gets us. So whatever's going on in our heart, let's keep that open to the Lord. Keep it open to the Lord. Lord, come into these places in our hearts. Purify what's been pornified so that I can enter into a glorified understanding of marital love. I hope that's helpful. Leave a comment if you want to share anything or ask a further question here. If you want to learn more about what we're doing here at the Theology of the Body Institute, click that link, TOB for free, and we will send you 3 free sessions to our introductory course.